In this tutorial, I'm going to be talking about if statements, what they're for, how to use them, and then we're going to be talking a bit about if-else statements and if statements with else-if as well. So to start off, I'm going to create a variable with just a number in it. So I'm going to say, in fact, we'll use a more or less real life example. So I'm going to create a variable called password. And this is going to be equal to, let's just say, password. So obviously a very weak password. So the essential idea of an if statement, as with other programming languages, if you have used them before, is that we compare something and then if something's true, if what's inside the if statement is true, we execute code in a certain block, otherwise we execute code in another block. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by creating the syntax sort of involved with the if statement in PHP. So it's if, and then our comparison goes inside our brackets, and then we create the block, whereas if what we write in here is true, we execute this code. So what I want to say is if password and our comparison operator is equals equals. Remember, if you're using equals in here, so if it was equal to let's say Alex, no, we'll create something else. Yeah, we'll just say Alex. If password equals Alex, now what this is doing is assigning it. So remember always to use the double equals. This is really, really important. Otherwise your code will work, you just won't receive the results you are trying to achieve. So if password equals Alex, echo, this is the correct password. Now what I've done is, you can see I've created if, I've started my curly bracket here, I've ended my curly bracket here, and I've put a bit of indentation just so everything's easy to read. So the way this is going to work is if the value of password, which at the moment is just password, equals, so double equals Alex, then we echo this text out. So at the moment, if I open up my browser, I've got my page already here, index.php, and I refresh, we're not going to see anything. And the reason being is password doesn't equal Alex, so we're not echoing this out. Now, if we were to, for example, change this to Alex, we will obviously have a comparison true, so this will equal true, therefore everything inside here will be executed. So we press refresh, this is the correct password. So something has clicked, this is true, we've executed this. Simple. Let's change this back to password, and now let's take this a step further. I'm going to say else. Now inside here I want to say this is the wrong password. Now what's going to happen now is we're going to make a check here. So if password equals Alex, correct password, everything's fine. Otherwise, meaning if password equals anything else, then we can echo out this. So at the moment password does equal something else, so we're hoping to execute this block. Let's have a refresh. This is the wrong password. Now again, if we change this to Alex and refresh, this is the correct password. Okay, now let's just take this into a completely different example. So I'm going to create a variable called age, and this is going to be equal to 21, so we're using an integer type here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an if-else, but with an if-else and then else-if. And this obviously sounds really, really confusing at the moment, but we're going to create our if statement saying if age is bigger or larger or greater than, however you want to say it, greater than 21, echo you're old enough to drink in USA. Okay, so you can see I've included a single quotation here. I'm just going to cancel that out with a backslash. So if age is bigger than 21, you're old enough to drink in the UK. Now this is actually incorrect at the moment. I need to say greater than or equal to. Now we don't need to use a double equals, we can just say greater than or equal to. This basically means if it's greater than or equal to, so simple. Now if I was to refresh now, you're old enough to drink in the USA. What if I was to change this to 18? Refresh, nothing. Now what I want to do is I want to say else echo you're not old enough to drink in United States of America. Absolutely fine. Let's cancel that out again. So I'm going to refresh now, and it's going to tell me you're not old enough to drink in the USA. But what if I wanted to say include the UK laws? So I could say else if something else. And the way we do this is let's just pull this down a bit. So I'm going to say else if age is greater than or equal to 18 and in fact no, we can keep it at that. So if age is greater than or equal to 18, echo you're old enough to drink in the UK. So let's just again get rid of that. So this is how the program works so far. If age is greater than or equal to 21, you're old enough to drink in the USA. Else, if age is greater than or equal to 18, you're old enough to drink in the UK. Else, you're not old enough to drink in the USA or the UK. Now let's just test how this works. Let's just say the person was 11 years old. Let's refresh. You're not old enough to drink in the USA or the UK. Now let's change the age to 18. We should return you're old enough to drink in the UK. You're old enough to drink in the UK. If we were to change this to 22, you're old enough to drink in the USA. Now obviously this should read and the UK. So refresh. So what we've done with if statements, if else statements and else if statements, or if else if, what we've basically done is we've created a small program to take into consideration the ages of this person or the age of this person and echo out the appropriate result. So that's basically if statements and everything that follows.